This is Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. Welcoming in the studio on the program for the first time, she is a part of the Children's Museum of Houston, the lovely Vandolyn Esparza. Is that right? Did I say it right?
That's right. Vandolyn Esparza.
Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, but I'm so glad that you are here. You know, Children's Museum of Houston, friends to the show. Whatever you guys have going on, you know, you got an open invitation here, and then, you know, we collaborate together around Halloween for Happy House with our sister station, Magic 102, and here on 97.9 The Box. So, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You guys have, well, you always got things going on, but
Always.
This one seems to be very important because it has to deal with the development of a baby's brain. And so the Children's Museum of Houston has a new initiative called Houston Basics.
Yes.
It's 5 fun, simple ways to build your baby's brain. First, whose idea was this? Because this is amazing.
It's pretty awesome. So it's not just our initiative. It's an initiative that's collective impact work with the City of Houston's Health Department.
Okay.
And it was adapted from a program called the Boston Basics, which tons of cities have started picking it up. And so the reason why we think the Houston Basics is so important here is because we didn't have really any program in the 0 to 3 space that was easily accessible. That was something we could do as, you know, an initiative across the city that anybody, regardless of income, could pick up, do these fun things with their child, and grow their baby's brains.
Nice. And so I understand there's 5 simple ways to do that. Before we get into that, what should parents know? Like, is there like a workshop with it, or do they just come to get, you know, some tips that they can just take home and do? How does this work exactly?
So the first thing that we want parents to do is go to cmhouston.org/Houston Basics and watch the videos. There's an overview video and 5 videos that support each of the themes. We also have developed workshops. Right now, our focus is in 2 of the complete communities in your North Side and Gulfton community. Okay. We are going to be going into Third Ward communities soon.
Okay.
And so we attach it to complete communities because we want to make sure that we have the museum outside of the walls, bringing it to the neighborhood. We're in churches, community centers. So that is something that's super important. If people have transportation issues, they can walk down the street to their local church and come to the workshops. So that's one thing. We want it to be accessible to everybody. We also want them to know that it's public health, right? Growing your baby's brain. We want parents to know that once you get your routines down with feeding and scheduling your child's sleep patterns, to also be reading to them, sing to them, you know, manage your stress because children are, we know, I'm a parent, so we know that they're really, really stressful sometimes. They cry. So how do you maximize your own love and manage the stress with your child? So trying to just give those quick tidbits, showing it in a very, you know, easily feasible way that parents can access. So they see a video, they see other parents that look like them doing it with their children, and then they get to go to these fun workshops. We also have some other programs that support it. And again, because it's through the health department, we are linking them to some other services that are needed. We like to focus on families who don't always have access, so our low-income families, but this message is for everyone. We want everybody to know the basics across the city, all of our suburban communities. It's for everyone. Yeah,
that's amazing. So, well, let's get into some of the exercises that one can do. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to Vandolyn Esparza from the Children's Museum of Houston, the Houston Basics, 5 fun and simple ways to build your baby's brain. It's going on right now. Log on to cmhouston.org for more information. So, some of these simple exercises that they can practice daily with their babies, that parents can practice daily with their babies. We don't want to go through the whole 5 because we want you to come to the workshop to be involved. So let's give us your top 2
that's a difficult one.
that you would pull out of the Houston Basics.
So let me preface this with they're all very important.
Yes,
all of these things are very important, but. The first thing, I'm going to hit back on the maximize, love, manage stress, because your child can never learn how to self-regulate if they can't co-regulate with a parent. And so we as parents need to kind of check our own emotions, make sure that we're really calm and talk our children through some of the things that are going on, especially with their behavior issues. My child is a recent 3-year-old, and so going through some of those emotions when they're trying to figure it out. If mom is stressed or dad is stressed and they start yelling at the children, they don't really learn how to regulate themselves. And so we really want to make sure that parents are kind of looking at themselves first, using some calm strategies for themselves, and then using those with their children. And so holding your child tight, having a structured kind of routine at bedtime, maybe calm music after they take a bath, those things super important in managing stress in the home with the child. Another is reading and discussing stories. Literacy is attached to everything that you can do academically. It is the foundation of learning. We want to make sure that our kids, a huge part of this initiative is kindergarten readiness. We want to make sure that our little kids are ready to go to school, ready to learn, have that foundational brain capacity.
Yes, indeed, because that school to prison pipeline is really real when it comes to people of color, black and brown folks.
Absolutely. Yes. And we definitely look at research. It's all research driven. We have excellent advisory committee members. Dr. Keonta Moore, who's doing a lot of brain research, especially in black and brown communities. She is a part of our evaluation. So we want to make sure that people know that this is legitimate, it's research-based. It is something that we believe in. This is the work we do. We live and breathe. And literacy is absolutely important to make sure that our children, all of our children, but especially our black and brown children, are ready for school. So when they get to school, brain function is, again, is related to everything. Literacy, to their math skills, to them being able to regulate their behavior. So we have to start now. We can't wait for kindergarten parents. We have to start now with growing our babies' brains, with engaging with our children really, really early so that they are prepared to be great people and to be entrepreneurs and people who can really pursue the careers and these, really high-profile careers that we have in Houston. So this is cradle to career. This is college readiness. This is everything. And
I like that. Cradle to career.
Yes. 0 to 3, because 85% of your brain growth happens in the first 3 years of life.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, about reading and discussing stories, because I guess I never really appreciated my mom reading to me as a child until I became an adult and just realized the importance, of that. I remember being very small and her reading to me some Sesame Street books, using Grover's voice and sounding like Big Bird.
Yes,
like my mom.
So important.
My mom literally acted out, what it was. And so I had 2 surgeries when I was a child. When I was 5, I had open heart surgery and also had my tonsils and adenoids taken out. And I remember my mother staying at the Ronald McDonald's house, which was across the street from the Cincinnati Children's Hospital. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. And so that was the closest hospital to perform such a surgery. And I just remember being in recovery and in the little child's playroom or wherever they, had us when we are, in recovery. I remember my mom reading to a bunch of the kids that were there in the hospital. And I had a young mother. Like, my mother had me young.
What a great mother.
She was. And I just remember all of us sitting there and my mom reading whatever book it was, to all of us. And then, I saw her reading growing up in the house, and my grandmother too, which made me become an avid reader. And so just parents, that is so important.
Absolutely.
To read to your child, because to your point, it will make
your
them. Your
child could be the next KG Smooth. Your child could be the next Barack Obama. Whoever it is that you aspire your child to be, literacy will help them. I mean, it helps with vocabulary, their processing skill, comprehension. We tell our children something you want, why don't you understand me? Read to them more. It's going to build those comprehension skills. We absolutely think and discussing the story. So as you're reading, make those voices, be silly with your children, talk to them about what's happening in the story, have them point things out back to you. Very just vital to their brain growth. And we want to make sure, again, 85% of your child's brain development is happening between 0 to 3. So in your tummy, start reading. If you're pregnant right now, start reading to your children, singing to your children while you're in the car. And as they grow when you see them start cooing back to you, looking at you and smiling and engaging as you're reading those books. You're going to be so excited as a parent to see how awesome you're doing, but how awesome your baby's doing. And that's really what we want. We want you to be involved from birth. So when your child gets ready for kindergarten, even if they have the worst teacher at the school, they're going to be ready. Yeah. And then you know how to advocate for your children. So we're all about teaching parents how to advocate for their own children, set them up for success, cradle to career, brain growth, having super smart children in Houston so that they can be prepared.
Indeed. So you all are you have a goal that you all are trying to reach with the student enrollment, and that is,
we want to see across the next 2.5 years at this point 8,000 parents. We want to engage 8,000 parents and children through our Houston Basics project and our Welcome Baby program. That's for infants 0 to 9 months. That's also tied to brain development. We want to build a pipeline of excellence for families so that they can get a Welcome Baby bag, go to Houston Basics workshops, come to the Children's Museum. You get free passes in those kits. If you come to a workshop, you get free passes every time, incentives. We want parents to be so excited about learning, bringing their children into the museum or your local. Again, we're at churches, community centers. If you have any questions, there's access on the internet. You can have our email address. It comes directly to me. So we're always available to answer any type of questions. We work with a lot of nonprofit partners. Again, this is collective impact work. So it is not us alone. It's not just the Children's Museum. It is the Houston Health Department with My Brother's Keeper.
Oh, nice.
It's the city of Houston.
Okay.
It is, we have the big dogs in our corner. So we want to make sure that they know that this is just not about us. And it really isn't about us. It's really us wanting to have this big information campaign about how people can get their children talking, singing, playing to grow their brains, having our kiddos ready for school. I come out of K-12, working in Title I schools where children were struggling. And so knowing that and knowing how we can really catch them before they get to these schools so that teachers can have children that are ready to learn, that is the goal.
This is, kudos to you guys over there at the Children's Museum of Houston. Big ups to my man Noel Pinock over there at My Brother's Keeper, the health department, Inspector, his name escapes me, please forgive me, the man that runs the health department over there, Inspector Williams. Inspector Williams.
And our contact, Christy Renhell, Decrecia Limbrick, who's over maternal child health for the Houston Health Department. We have some really super awesome people in our corner, and we couldn't be more excited about this project.
This is what I love about Houston so much, is that we really know how to come together to make it happen. And I always go back to Harvey, and just to see, just from then on, just the collective work that the city and the different communities and neighborhoods come together to do for the betterment of all of us here in Houston is just...
And I'm so glad you said that, because we are looking for some influencers who want to say, hey, we support this project if you want to help with that. And again, it's collective work. So if you feel like you have a passion and a heart, you have a following, and you can promote children and this brain growth, then reach out to us, because we definitely want to make sure.
And where can they do that?
They can do it on cmhouston.org or email me at welcomebaby@cmhouston.org. If you put my name in Google, Vandolyn Esparza Children's Museum will pop up immediately. So it's easy. I'm easy to find. The project is easy to find. It's off of our website. And we just want people to, get engaged, get involved, and we want to get the word out about the Houston Basics.
We'll do that. Log on to cmhouston.org, or you can email her at... What was
Welcome
baby
at cmhouston.org.
Man. Oh man, this is amazing. You guys are winning with this one. I got to tell you, awesome. Very important, like this early childhood development, this brain development. And you're right, 0 to 3, that is the most crucial time. Like this, let's do it, Houston. Let's support it so our babies and who are going to be the future can be ready.
Yes.
Oh man, Vandolyn Esparza, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having us.
I hope I'll see you back here.
Thank you.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, Kate G. Smooth. Man, got some good vibes and energy in the studio today. He is the interim board president for the Jazz Education Corporation. Mr. Lloyd Hughes is in the building.
Hey, yes, good morning. Good morning.
And we also have the director of Jazz Education Incorporated, Al Campbell. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, man, how y'all doing?
Glad to be here, KG.
Finally could put a face with the voice.
Oh, yeah. That is me. I said, I probably walked past you in the club. Didn't even know because you so smooth.
Yeah, you so smooth, man.
Man, thank you all for coming on. I know this coming Saturday, big event with the Houston International Jazz Festival.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, you know, your organization, Jazz Education, Inc. So tell some folks who may not be familiar with Jazz Education, Inc., what it is that you all do and your mission.
Well, Jazz Education was founded by famous Houston drummer Bubba Thomas. And Bubba was a forefront musician along with the Houston jazz greats, Arne Cobb, man. So he started a program called the Summer Jazz Workshop because he went to college and didn't get the right information, fundamentals that he needed for college. So he and Conrad Johnson came with the idea to start the Summer Jazz Workshop, and therefore, Jazz Education grew out of that with several other jazz and poetries and with our Houston International Jazz Festival. So Bubba Thomas is responsible for that, for educating kids and youth in our Houston area and all over the United States, man.
There's a long history of doing that.
Long history. Jazz education, I think we're going into our 48th year coming up, almost 49th year. 50 year for the 50th year, and this will be the 38th year, I believe, of the festival. So this is a mainstay in Houston, man. Yes, you know, part of Houston history.
And I'm really not surprised. I mean, we are just right down the road from the birthplace of jazz music.
Oh yeah, New Orleans, and the birthplace of blues, Memphis. Yeah. In your hometown, the birthplace of funk.
So we got the music connection. What was it about jazz music that got you all interested? Because I feel that jazz is the most free. The freest of all of the musical genres, maybe outside of gospel, because you can do whatever, have so much fun with it, and there's no wrong.
No limits, right?
There's no limits and no wrong in jazz, and that's what makes it so fun to me.
I think it's just like an expression of yourself. You know, you get to compose on the spot how you feel, your expression, and hopefully it goes over to the people and they can see that this is me, this is what I'm going. And if you can bring somebody into you like that and they can feel what you're feeling, you've done your job.
Yeah, it's almost like meeting somebody on the street and just having a conversation with them, because you know jazz is no spoken words. It's all mostly geared toward instrumental. So it's just basically having a conversation. At the end of the day, we get paid to make people feel good.
And you do that. And I was going through my jazz phase in my early 20s when I was doing radio in Cincinnati, and I was a part of this this production, this musical that had to deal with all of the leading ladies in music.
Yes.
And so two of the women who were on the list were Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh man.
And I'm listening and I'm studying, you know, Sarah and Ella, and Ella Fitzgerald. I was listening to How High the Moon, the live recording, live in Berlin from way back in the day. I think it was recorded in the 40s or the 50s, something like that.
Yes.
Her control and the runs and the riffs that she was doing as she was scatting or whatnot, she was doing things that I had heard modern vocalists do that I thought that they had made it up. Like they had invented this run, like, oh, wow, I never heard this run. And here I hear a record, 70, 80 years, that was at the time, that was 70, 80, almost 80 years old. And Ella Fitzgerald is doing The exact same thing. I was like, whoa, ain't nothing new under the sun.
All the greats, go back. Like I tell the students in the Summer Jazz Workshop, if you're going to, whatever genre of music you're going to play, whether it's gospel, whatever, funk, jazz, you have to go back and study the people that brought it to this point.
Yes.
So, all the great vocalists, if you listen to Shaka Khan, you hear styles of Ella Fitzgerald and all of them in there singing. Even Beyonce. You hear style. Beyonce is a great jazz. People don't know that about her, but going to HSPVA. So it is something, like I said, it's our music. Created in America and created in our culture. So, like I said, straight out of New Orleans, Bourbon Street, Canal Street, at the end, by Popeyes.
Right. By Popeyes. I was just there for Essence. That's where I was staying.
Right there on Canal. Hey, but just, we actually, with the Summer Jazz Workshop, we address exactly what you're saying. We have classes on jazz history, and we show them the fundamentals like that, jazz history, music business, how to take care of your business, on orchestration and arranging, jazz improvisation, ensemble playing. We do all of that in the classes, and jazz history is important. We take them back there and say, hey, listen, this is Buddy Bolin, this is, Louis Armstrong, this is Ella. And that's, and it helps them to see, wow, like you said, you heard this before, but you didn't know.
This is where the original
This is where the original. Just like like I tell, like basketball players, my students that play basketball say, okay, who invented basketball? So you got to know the history. You got to know the history to understand where you want to go with it.
Indeed.
So,
yes. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to Lloyd Hughes and Al Campbell of Jazz Education Inc. The Houston International Jazz Festival is happening this weekend. Quite a lineup.
Oh man, the great Alex Bouillon and of course my girl Alita Adams, man. So it is going to be Saturday at Cullen Auditorium. That's on University of Maine campus at University of Houston. The Summer Jazz Workshop kids will be playing. We will have them. They will open the show, so give them an experience of performing on a big stage. With some really talented jazz musicians, so they could see. This is where I started, but this is where you can wind up. So, like out of the 40-something years, we've had like Robert Glasper, Chris Day, Jason Moran, Walter Smith, Mark Simmons, drums with with Al Jarreau, Gregory Curtis. Yeah, it is. They are. All over the country.
Y'all got to be extremely proud.
Oh yeah.
We, the legacy and what you've done.
And I've had the pleasure of teaching HISD, so I've had the pleasure of starting a lot of them in elementary school.
Wow.
At Parker Elementary. So man, we are proud, but it's what they wanted to do, and we told them at an early age, if you keep doing this, you're going to be where you want to be.
James Francis.
James Francis, and he's out on tour right now with Marcus Miller and Pat Metheny. So he's probably, and you see him with the Roots on the Jimmy Fallon show. Playing piano. So they are, Kanye West is music director of the Cornish Brothers. That's new. Yeah, Paul Cornish. That's Kanye West's music director now, and right out of the Summer Jazz Workshop. So they are taking over.
Wow.
But you want to let them know, we also have a big weekend because it starts Friday.
Oh yeah, starts Friday at Axelrad's with the Summer Jazz Workshop All-Star Combos. We have 2 combos at Axelrad's, and they will be playing from 6 to 8 p.m. And then Saturday we have the concert, the Houston International Jazz Festival, and then Sunday with the Jazz Brunch. At the Junior League. That's our big fundraiser. So we want everybody to call Jazz Education Incorporated 713-839-7000. You can talk to Miss Denise or Miss Nelson, and the choir.
It just helps support the kids for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because it takes takes money to do this, and
Yeah.
this helps us. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yes, it helps. Like I said, it's almost we getting ready to celebrate 50 years.
That's
and
amazing,
to
man.
say something in Houston, you've been around 50 years, especially a organization like this, is really tremendous.
Yeah.
So
this is
we
amazing.
really thank Bubba Thomas. Give all the credit to him and Conrad Johnson for having the vision to push this as far as it is. They have pushed it, and like to thank y'all, man, for being such a
Truly
great supporter through the years. This is not just the first time, we just happen to be up here today, but man, y'all have truly been an amazing support through all those years, that I've been down here.
Well, it's our pleasure. I mean, this is what we do. We all about serving the community. This is
Yes.
why I use this platform. Like this show, my main show is The Quiet Storm.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
But this show here purposely use this to inform us.
Yes.
And to elevate, us. They
Yes.
get us privy to things that we may not
and
know.
it helps
So
our kids so much.
Yeah.
You see kids coming there at this level, then all of a sudden, by the end of the workshop, they have the confidence to get in front of the audience and play. And where the first day they were like, not me. And the last day they're taking solos and saying, hey, sure.
Yeah, you got to tell them to sit down. Okay, you've been playing long enough. Sit down.
It's just amazing how music or just the arts period really brings out another side of a quiet child.
Oh yes. Babies, you can see it in babies.
Yeah.
You can see it the first attention when they hear music, they kind of eyes bright up, listen up, head turning around, So like I said, it's a part of life, is always soothes the savage beast in us.
Yes, it does. And
us.
it's been
It
my
does.
best friend my entire life. Whatever mood I'm in, I can pick a song that can
The song will take
fit
you there.
that
Yes,
mood.
yes.
I want to ask you all, what's your favorite type of jazz? Are you like a jazz trio? Do you like the big bands? Do you tend more to instrumentalists? Do you like the vocalists? What is y'all favorites?
Well, man, I love all music. My preference is jazz because I get to create. It's a creation, but I like fusion. I like the traditional jazz from out of New Orleans. The historical. I had to grow to that point. When I first started listening, my parents played jazz. My dad played jazz. My mama played R&B. Okay. So when my mama wasn't at home, we would listen to Coltrane and Miles Davis.
Nice.
Then when mama came home, we would listen to Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye. So growing up in the households, because of the entertainment fact that you had to ask. When we were coming up, and I'm probably sure we had to ask, can we watch TV now? Right. only 3 states. Well, can I play with the hi-fi? I don't know if they remember what that is.
How many TVs was in your house?
One TV, and you really had
turn.
to. Yeah, you had to ask.
You had that combination TV and
yes. So growing up, man, in households, you listen to what your parents played until you were old enough to use the record player, and then until you had to ask permission to do that.
What about you, Lloyd?
And I'm just like, what time of day is it? Depending on what kind of jazz I like. But one of my first ones that caught me were like the Crusaders. When they did the Second Crusade, I would listen to them. I was like, man, sit there and put that needle back, listen to it. Them, they caught me like, oh, what would that be? Not traditional, but more like live fusion jazz. Crusaders,
Jazz Crusaders,
they
Houston.
caught me first, but then it just evolved. Now I couldn't tell you who was my favorite.
Who was your favorite? There's so many.
There's so many that are doing excellent jobs.
Yeah, the most probably the shocking thing for me is to have listened to all these great growing up, and I have had the privilege of performing with the ones that I've been listening to. So I'm on stage looking at Joe
like
Sample playing,
the
ultimate, and I'm like, wow, But I wanted to do that, but it wasn't a go. I just kept practicing and playing, and my first experience in high school, I got to play 2 songs with Isaac Hayes in Memphis
at
an NAACP convention.
Oh, wow.
And the moderator came after we played the 2 songs, came and handed each one of us a $50 bill. This was all the way back in 1974. So after that, I was like, oh yeah,
this is it.
This is it. This is it.
And this weekend is going down. This is it. The Houston International Jazz Festival, along with Jazz Education. Where can folks go to get more information? Find out about the tickets and all of that.
You can call Jazz Education Incorporated. The number is 713-839-7000. That's 713-839-7000. And you can inquire about tickets for all the events. Like I said, the kickoff party for the festival will be at Axelraz Friday, February the 1st. February 2nd.
August.
February. I'm in the wrong. Excuse me.
Right.
Man, I'm ahead of myself.
Yeah.
August,
That's Friday.
First Friday in August, and the festival will be Saturday, August the 3rd, and the jazz brunch will be August the 4th at the Junior League.
So give them a call, 713-839-7000. Lloyd Hughes, the interim board president for Jazz Education, and Mr. Al Campbell, the director of Jazz Education. Man, so good to meet y'all. Thank y'all for coming on the
Hey,
road.
man, thank you, man. It's a pleasure just seeing your face, man.
Yeah. And you can get all the information at jazzeducation.org.
Jazzeducation.org.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Yeah, man, and keep doing what you're doing. Love the Sunday show. Love the Quiet Storm, man. Look, I'm a big fan. Like I said,
man.
it's a pleasure to see your face now.
Okay, now we can see him tap him on the shoulder.
Tap him on the shoulder.
Yeah, that's
Hey, put his on my tab.
Hey, on to that, man. Thank y'all so much. And thank you for listening to Access Houston.
We'll be back with more Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.